I hope you guys are ready to move mountains this week, and not in the way that Rhysand does, because we have some shit to get done. So essentially, if we remember my February Bookopoly video, I said that I only had like 1,800 pages to read in the month, and in February I was golden. I was going to accomplish it. It was going to be easy. I now have 1 week left of the month, and it's currently 5 p.m, so I've already lost all of those hours of the first day, and I still have half of Starsight to read by Brandon Sanderson, all of these books, and Dawnshard by Brandon Sanderson. I've read 1 book off my Bookopoly TBR this month, and I don't know how this has happened. I need to do something about it this week. So this is my TBR for the week. Please wish me luck. I literally just got off the back of reading A Court of Silver Flames as well. Like, I finished it this morning, so that is one of the reasons why I haven't read my Bookopoly TBR. I also had to read Ship of Destiny for the Catch Up Book Club live show that I hadn't read in January. I was supposed to, so I know what's gone wrong here, and I have actually still read quite a lot this month. I also did the polar bear vlog, which also wasn't my TBR, so I really have done this to myself. But my first task for this week is going to be to finish Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. Where did I leave this on Wednesday? I'm on page 244, and there's like 447, yeah, but 440, 450 pages in here. So I mean, I need to be reading at least 200 pages per day. If there's any book that I want to have started but not finished by the end of the month, it is going to be this one, which is on my Bookopoly TBR for Curtis pick, and there is a reason for that, but I'm not going to tell you what that is. But that is like my last priority. I do still want to start it so I don't have to take punishment, but I'm not aiming to finish this week. But yeah, we have like 240, 640, 840, 1,300, 1,500 pages to read this week. I mean, yeah, sure, yeah, we're gonna do that. But my first thing I'm gonna do is finish Starsight. So this is the sequel to Skyward, and it is a young adult sci-fi series that follows a girl called Spencer who lives on this planet, and she lives under the surface, and the humans are trying to live on the surface of the planet, but there is this alien race called the Krell that is attacking them constantly whenever they try and like build anything or make any like societal progress. So to combat this, they have a team of fighter pilots that whenever the Krell appear, go out to shoot them down. When the flight academy that trains these fighter pilots was established, there was a battle that Spencer's father fought in, and this was like a pivotal battle for their civilization, and Spencer's father deserted and was branded a coward. So Spencer really wants to follow in her father's footsteps, minus the desertion, and become a fighter pilot. However, because of her father being branded a coward, her entire family has as well. So the people in authority are making it real difficult for Spencer to even be admitted into this academy, and when she is finally admitted, they try and make it so that she absolutely cannot succeed. I read half of this last week. I did read a good 170 pages in a day, so it is looking kind of promising, but I do know that I struggled through the first 100 or so pages of this like I did with Skyward, and this is on my 5-star predictions, and I just don't think it's going to be 5 stars now. But where I got up to, I was starting to enjoy it. I was getting into it, so hopefully I can pick this up tonight and make a significant amount of progress in there. However, I'm going to tell you something that I think I can tell you now. A few weeks ago I finished Knitting a Blanket. I told you guys I bought supplies to make another one, and I haven't showed it to you, but if you've seen some of the live shows I've been doing, some reading sprints, I do occasionally pull it out and like knit a few rows. So I'm not like keeping it completely secret, but I just haven't been showing it anywhere, and that is because I'm making that for Ashley's birthday. Ashley's birthday is on Wednesday, and I have told her that her presents may be late, but what I want to do tonight is finish that, because I think I only have like 16 rows left that I need to do. So that's gonna take me like a good hour or so at least, and Ashley's other present that is going with that arrived today. So ideally what I want to do tonight is finish the blanket, weave in all of the ends. I got darning needles today because I didn't have any, so that I can do that, because I don't mind having the ends hanging out on the one that I'm using, but the one for Ashley, like, it's a gift, it needs to look good. So yeah, I need to finish that tonight, which means that I don't know how much reading I'm gonna get done. I will probably watch the second Pirates of the Caribbean film, which is Dead Man's Chest, I think is the second one. I have seen them all before. I adore Pirates of the Caribbean, but when I was reading Ship of Destiny a couple of weeks ago, it really put me in the mood for like epic pirate stories. So me and Curtis are currently rewatching all of those, and as I need to get quite a bit of knitting and stuff done, I think it may be a good shout to watch the second one tonight. Those are my plans. I now need to go and edit the last clip of last week's vlog, which I've only just filmed, export that, make a thumbnail, make some dinner, and then crack on with my evening.
Have I been missing your letters? Did you write me at all? Or have I just forgotten how hard I fall? Is he stretching out your belt loops with his fingers and his thumbs, doing everything that I do? Was I not good enough? Does he feel better in your hands? Does he treat you better? Is he more of a man? I'd give you a kiss for every day that I've missed, just to show you that my lips taste better than his. When times get tough, he'll run away, but I'll be right beside you to make it okay. You're stomping down your garden and eating your fruit. I'm planting seeds for what we could do.
How you doing down here? I'm just popping in really quick because I have tons of orders to pack and it's only like not even midday yet, and I haven't like I barely even started working. I've just printed off all of my postage labels. I've also printed the postage label for Ashley's presents because I finished her blanket last night and I wanted to show you guys before I pack it away. I'm gonna step back because it is pretty big. Here we are. You still can't even, there we go. I'm holding it like lengthways, so vertically it's like taller. This is the same height as me actually. So it's about 5'6", and just a little bit of a close-up of some of the stitches in here. There we go, you got some light now. But I think there's 4 or 5 different types of stitch in this one, and I really like this one actually. I like the wool better than the wool that I used for the one for myself, and I also made it a lot bigger because the wool I used in this one is slightly less thick than the wool I used in the one for me. So yeah, just wanted to show you this, and now I'm gonna go stick it in a box and post it off because it's Ashley's birthday tomorrow. I paid for postage that should get there tomorrow, but with delays, who knows, but I'm trying. Good morning guys. Last night I finished Starsight by Brandon Sanderson and I didn't love it, and I'm shocked honestly. When I was reading Skyward, the beginning of it I struggled a bit, and then the middle I was enjoying, but then the end was like so dynamic and emotional that I cried a couple of times, or like teared up a couple of times, and the ending really made that book for me and brought it up to a 4-star from what would have been a 3-star. Now this one I struggled through the beginning, didn't love the middle, and I thought that the ending was a mess. Like, I'm honestly shocked that I didn't end up enjoying this. This was a 5-star prediction as well. Just the formatting of the end of this is weird. You get to the end and there's an epilogue, and then there's a chapter after the epilogue, so it goes into like your typical epilogue type of thing, and then there's a paragraph break and it goes into this long action scene that is supposed to set it up for the next book, but just felt really messy and really rushed because we'd had like the big conclusion. We'd brought it down a bit for the end of the book with this little epilogue, which was only like 2 pages, and then straight back into this really fast-paced action scene. I enjoyed the characters in here because it does introduce you to a new set of characters, and by the end of the book I liked the characters that we've been introduced to, but I really love the original cast of characters from the first book, and they are still in the story. It's just you're introduced to a whole ton of new ones that take center stage, and I just didn't care as much about them. And this is not trying to be, it is like becoming more expansive. So we start off on this planet where Spencer is from, and as she learns and the people of that planet learn more about certain things, the story like expands to include like alien races and things like that, and other civilizations. I just don't think it works. I'm really sad. Was a 3-star for me. The thing about Brandon Sanderson, in my experience of what I've read from him, which is a good like 11, this might be book 11 that I've read from him, but that does include novellas like Edge Dancer and the first of the Stephen Leeds books. But like in my experience, what I expect from Brandon Sanderson is something like really well plotted with like really big reveals that like have me shocked, and I just didn't feel it with this. I did not feel it with this one at all, and I'm really sad because I do really like the characters in here. I really like Spencer and I really love Embot. and Doomslug, and like some of the original cast like Kimmy Lynn, Jorgen, some of the new cast we were introduced to as well, I do enjoy, though not to the extent of the others because we didn't spend as much time with them. I just didn't get the feeling, because throughout the first book you have this big feeling of like found family and friendship that I didn't get from this one, and it did feel like a repeat of the first book. So Spencer enters this environment and changes her perspective, changes the way that she thought about certain things and people, and makes friends along the way. And in this one she enters a new environment which changes her perspective on certain things and people and makes friends along the way. But I just didn't feel it in this book. It just, I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was very messy, especially the end. The reveals didn't wow me. I wasn't shocked or amazed. Some of them actually felt like they were stretching, which I don't get from Brandon Sanderson normally. Normally everything feels like really well plotted. The plot I didn't enjoy. Some of the descriptions of some of the like sci-fi elements in here I just couldn't get, like I couldn't wrap my head around. And the only good thing about this was the characters. That's the only reason it got a 3-star instead of a 2, I think, because I did rate the characters quite highly, because I love the main characters of like Spencer, Ember, etc. So yeah, colossal fucking disappointment. I'm so upset, and that is my lowest rated Brandon Sanderson book. I think everything else has got 4 or 5 stars. I may have given a novella like 3 stars along the way somewhere, but especially full-length book, there's only I think 2 that I've given 4 stars to, and the rest are 5 stars. So I did not see that coming, and I'm unhappy about it. But that was on my Bookaholic TBR to read a sci-fi. So this morning I wanted to work out. I've been trying to put my workouts in the morning. The only problem is I get anxious about the things that I need to do, and when I think I don't have as much to do, I'm eager to get it done so that I can have the afternoon free. But I've been trying to work out in the morning, because otherwise I'll start my work and I'll get to a point that's like, oh well, I don't have time to work out now. But that's something that needs prioritizing. Like, I'm trying to get back into shape and also be more motivated, because as well as exercise, eventually if you do it a lot, making you look really good, it also makes you feel really good, and I could do with that. I could do with that hormone boost. What I've also started to do to keep me productive in the morning is I don't sit and drink my coffee and read anymore. I bring my coffee through and like start proofing a video or whatever my first task is that can be done while sat down. And if I don't have a task like that for the day, then I sit and put my makeup on while I drink my coffee, because something else I'm trying to do is wake up and be ready for the day as though I'm not just gonna sit around at home all day and do nothing. Because I want to work out, I then have to like sit and drink my coffee kind of while doing something, because I don't want to get stuck into work, because then I'll stay stuck into work and not work out. But I don't want the coffee lazy start to my day, because then I find if I start my day slow, my day will continue to be slow essentially. But this morning I woke up, I drank my coffee, read a little bit of Emperor Reunion Stars, which is the book I picked up next, and then did a weights workout, and now I'm here talking to you guys. So this one, I'm on page 22. It is only short. It is 207 pages, and I'm doing Patreon exclusive sprints again tonight, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I can finish this during those sprints, because I'll be going for, I want to say around 4.5 hours. I try to end them between 11 p.m. and midnight, especially because I've also sorted out my sleeping pattern this week. Honestly, just big life changes this week and we're living for it. So this one is the novella in the Bargainer series. You guys have heard me speak about the Bargainer series a lot now. It is a fairy romance series that follows a young woman called Callie, who has a string of hundreds of black beads that like wind up her arm, and every bead represents a debt that she owes to the Bargainer. Now the Bargainer is this like big ruthless figure who is known for making bargains with people, but the thing about the Bargainer is that he always collects, and most people only have one bargain from him. I think it's extremely rare to have more than one. Callie has hundreds, and for some reason the Bargainer has never come to collect until one day he does. So this is the 2.5 installment, and it is from the perspective of Desmond Flynn. So Desmond is a fairy. He's hundreds of years old, 269-ish years old to be exact, or almost exact I guess, because I just wasn't exact then. But this is his life story, I believe, from Bobby, who has been pestering me to read this book for a long time, that it starts off like hundreds of years in the past, and it comes up and then kind of goes through briefly the events of the first 2 books in the series from his perspective. Even on page 172, it's still like 3 years in the past, so it is only like a brief bit that's covering the topics of the first 2 books, because I like novellas from other characters' perspectives, but I hate it. Like, I read, was it the Slammed series by Colleen Hoover? I think that's what the first book is called. The last book in that series, which isn't actually part of the proper series, is the first book, I think, or maybe the whole series, from the love interest perspective, and it was like, it didn't add anything. There were very few scenes that we hadn't already read from the female character's perspective. Gave that 1 star, it was just completely pointless. But this is going to be very interesting because Desmond is not exactly secretive. He is to the general public, but within the narrative of following Kelly, he's not necessarily secretive. It's just there's not like a whole ton of space or times where we actually delve into his past. So I'm excited to read this one. It's pretty interesting so far. I'm currently 254 years in the past, and fingers crossed I will finish this during sprints today. I do have another book lined up if I do manage to finish this, but yeah, I read pretty slowly, but this is a pretty fast-paced book, so we'll see. But that's my goal. So I received a parcel today, and I think I know what is in this because I was doing Patreon sprints last night and I mentioned that there was a book that I didn't have. Somebody mentioned that they were reading it and I was like, oh, I don't have that book. And Jade from JD Ray Reads was not happy about me not having that book, and I think that that book is what is in this parcel. So let's have a look, shall we? Yeah, thank you so much, Jade. This one is, I thought they were darker than this. I thought they were more like parchment colored, but this is like white. But this is Traitor's Blade by Sebastian D. Castell, and Sebastian D. Castell is one of Jade's favorite authors. There's a lot of people reading this right now because it's one of Jade's favorite authors. I do have Spellslinger by Sebastian D. Castell that I started reading and then had to read something else, so I put it down and then never picked it back up. But Sebastian D. Castell does have a very particular writing style where he will stop in the middle of like an action scene or something to tell you about what is happening, like from the perspective of a narrator that is telling the story as opposed to being submerged in the story at the time that it's happening. And so this one is the first book in the Greatcoat series. It is his adult series, and this follows a band of characters who were the King's Greatcoats. However, they were disbanded. They now work for somebody who they don't like working for very much, and the king is dead, and I think they get wrapped up in like a political plot line. That's all I know about this, but I know that Jade really loves it, and hopefully I will read this one sometime soon and actually read it as well. Because it's adult, I do think I will enjoy it more than Spellslinger, although it wasn't that I wasn't enjoying Spellslinger, it was just it's a very particular style and I didn't know that going into it, but now I have a better idea of Sebastian D. Castell's writing style. I think I will be able to get along with his books a little bit better. So thank you, Jade. I do hope I enjoy this now, otherwise I know it's gonna make you cry. Does it have, no she didn't, no she did put a note in it. I love you, I love this, and genuinely think you'd enjoy it, so here you go. I hope I do, I really do. So last night during the sprints, just before I went to bed, I did finish The Emperor of Evening Stars by Laura Thalassa. I gave this one 4 stars, I really enjoyed it. So as I mentioned, this one follows Desmond's life, kind of, but it's mainly just like his greatest hits. So it starts 270 years in the past, and we're moving through like a distant past timeline of him doing some of the things that have shaped him and made him who he is that we know from the timeline of the normal series. It then jumps quite dramatically up to the timeline of the first book, and I loved that section of this. Rhapsodic is split into 2 timelines. You have the timeline that is 7 years in the past where Kelly has called the bargainer to help her out of a very tricky situation, and you also have a present day timeline. Now my favorite timeline is that one that's 7 years in the past, and getting it from Desmond's perspective was really enjoyable. This would have been a 5 stars if all of it would have been like that 7-year past perspective, but I definitely enjoyed the second half of this where we're in the timeline of Rhapsodic more than I enjoyed the first half where we were going through like the beginning of Desmond's life and all these things that he did that made him who he is. So I'm very excited to read Dark Harmony now, which is the last book in the series, and this one was on my Bookoply TBR for pet pick. And this morning I have started Secrets of the Star-Crossed, which is book 1 in the Once and Future Queen series by Clara O'Connor. This is an art copy that was released in January, I think it was like the 21st, so I am late with this, and I really can't tell you much about it because I am only on page 8, and it's already different than I thought it was going to be. All I know about this going into it is that it's a mix of Arthurian legend, Celtic folklore, and the Roman Empire, and I was really curious about how all those 3 elements were going to come together. I still have no idea what the plot is. I am only on page 8, but the thing that has surprised me so much is that this is not a historical fantasy, or it is a high fantasy because the world is completely different in an alternate history mashup kind of way, but it's set in like a modern society. So this girl is going to school, she's got on the monorail so far, she's mentioned like neon screens in an arena during the prologue, and she goes to high school and there's like lockers and stuff. So real confused about this so far. Adding that modern time period into the mix is even more of like a mashup of things, and I'm really excited to see how it plays out. I'm going to be reading this until I finish it, obviously, but I'm not sure what I have to do now. I have to schedule my video to go up a little bit later. It's like almost 4 p.m. now, about 3:45. I've spent the day making graphics, sorted out the Bookoplathon Twitter thread, sorted out the Discord for Bookoplathon. I still need to go back in and do the roll drops at some point and make graphics for those. I then made labels for a candle because I have a new product launch coming sometime very soon, and I had a candle ready made for that. I'd already made a batch, I just needed to make the label, so I did that, took photographs. I also have more new products that I'm going to be launching, so I made some labels for those, although I'm waiting on a delivery before I can finalize all of that stuff. And then I also have the A Court of Silver Flames release in progress, and I'm just like, why have I done this to myself? So the A Court of Silver Flames is in the very early stages at the moment. I couldn't decide on fragrances, couldn't really work out what I wanted for each idea I have, because I start by picking the candle names. So for some of them I knew what kind of vibe I wanted to go for others I wasn't so sure. I found a scent that would be perfect for a character but couldn't find a title to go with that scent. So I've just ordered a whole bunch of sample fragrances, and when they arrive I will go through, pick out the ones I like, match them to the name. So that is in super early stages, but I do want to have that turned around within the next week, 2 weeks. So there's just like a whole ton of stuff that I'm prepping, and I don't really know, because this is the first product launch that I've done using my new system where I make the products first and then put them for sale, as opposed to having them made to order. So it's a trial and error process, and I have a whole lot of stuff going on. It's just a little bit overwhelming right now, and I have also made so many graphics today that my brain and my eyes hurt a little bit. But I need to go and proof that blog, maybe go get some food, because I don't think we have much food in. I'm gonna check out the freezer and we'll have like a lazy dinner tonight, if I even have anything in. And then I think I'm playing Fortnite tonight with Ryan, so I'll just squeeze in reading in between that. But it's just like, yeah, I've got a whole lot going on. There's a whole lot going on today, and it's been a day that's full of just like little bits of stuff, and those are my least favorite days. I would rather just block out a whole day and be like, I am going to make candles from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. than do this where I'm jumping between things, where it maybe takes me like 20 minutes per task, but I have so many tasks to accomplish.
And I've grown to love you. You come and tell me that you love me, out of sight and out of mind, and I don't know how to love right. We fall apart every damn time. You keep ripping off the petals to this love that we keep alive. Give me one more chance to fix this.
Hey, so here's the thing. I'm currently doing live sprints on Jade's channel. They're like daytime sprints, but I'm doing productivity sprints. I'm not reading right now because I filmed Bookopoly and I need to get on with editing that. But I got some things to tell you, because I was reading Secrets of the Starcrossed by Clara O'Connor, and I tried, guys. I tried. I give it a really good go. I'm on page 172, but I just can't read it. I can't do it. Going into this, it says 2 star-crossed lovers fight to ignite the spark of rebellion. What if the Roman Empire never fell? What if the Caesar still ruled London? What if the Celtic throne still stood beyond its walls? What if their ancient elemental power still thrummed through the ley lines woven deep within the land, within earth, air and water? What if someone or something unleashed it? So mentioned in this, we have star-crossed lovers, which is Shakespeare, but that is now like a concept as opposed to like a Romeo and Juliet reference necessarily. Then we have the Roman Empire, Celtic mythology and elemental magic, as well as the fact that the series is called The Once and Future Queen, so Arthurian legend as well. When I received this arc and when I was talking about reading it, I said that like I'm really excited for all of these concepts to come together, but it's a lot to put into one book, so like they're gonna have to mesh a certain way for it to work, and it just really doesn't work. On top of all of that, it's also a sci-fi, it's futuristic. The 20th century is like way in the past of this world. They have like technology that can like augment them. They also have like a true match service, which is kind of dating, but they work out based on your hormones and DNA, like who your perfect match would be, and that is the person that you're like promised to. And then it reads like a historical romance. Like, this is a society where the main character is not allowed to be like in a room on her own with a boy, and it's focused on the romance. This, right at the beginning, this girl is in history class and it info dumps all the history of the world at you right in this first chapter, and she brushes against this boy and he feels muscular but he doesn't look muscular, so she doesn't really know what's going on there. And from then on, it's just all about this boy called Devon, but it's written in a way that reminds me of the dialogue in Hitchcock movies. Now, don't get me wrong, I adore Hitchcock movies, like some top tier black and white movies there, but it's a futuristic world with like a historical romance with all of this stuff in the background. I just can't wrap my head around it. I'm not enjoying it. This guy as well, he's kind of awful to her and rude to her in the style of like Hitchcock romance type things. Like, he'll say that she's just a spoiled rich kid, and she is, and then she'll be like leaning in to caress his face and stuff. But the thing that made me just finally quit, because I was going to persevere, I've been listening to the audio of this along with reading it to try and keep me focused because I just wasn't interested. There's mention of Hades in here. She keeps saying things like curse you all to Hades and the pits of Hades and things, and I'm like, Hades is Greek. This is supposed to be a Roman city, like how in the UK the Roman cities used to be walled, and with that you would assume that they have Roman gods, not Greek gods. Why are you talking about Greek gods? Especially as everything in the society is built on this code of the way that like you should live within this city. And then outside of the walled cities they have the Celtic clans, but then they also mention Britons, and it's all like dropping random British history. Like at one point the Tudor monarchy was mentioned as something to do with fighting, and then Princess Margaret was mentioned at some point, and it's just a whole lot of stuff. It's kind of like if every country or every group that invaded England at any point in history all stayed and like staked a claim on the land and formed a part of this society, and it's all isolated, and it's just a lot. Now, I don't believe that you should have to explain everything in a book. Like, if you're referencing a historical event or like something that's not part of Western culture, then you shouldn't have to explain that on the page. But there is like a limit. Like, you need a degree in British history to be able to understand these references, because it can be so quick as well. Like, in one paragraph you can be referencing like the Tudor monarchy, the Danes, the Roman Empire, without any context aside from the context of that it happened in British history. But because it's an alternate timeline, what actually happened in British history, even if you knew, this would be a diversion on that. And I just found it to be really messy. The pacing was kind of off. Like, it was really slow paced and that nothing happened, but then also we're only focusing on romance, and this guy thinks she might be somebody, but who knows who he thinks that she might be. It was just a mess. It was a whole mess. It is a whole mess. And the reason why I don't usually DNF is because if I'm going to be telling you stuff like this is a mess, it makes no sense, the world building is terrible, then I want to be able to back that up and say like, this made no sense through to the end of the book. Obviously I can't say that because I only made it to page 172, but what I read I was just really unimpressed by, and I can't continue. The audiobook narrator I'm not a fan of. It's very like posh, archaic, not archaic, but like posh 1950s housewife kind of British, and I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. So I've DNF'd this. Sadly, this was on my Bookly TBR for the prompt for review, because that is an arc, which is another reason that I wanted to finish it. And let me tell you, that is the first DNF I've had in over a year, I want to say. I don't even remember the last book that I actually DNF'd, because normally I persevere, but I just couldn't. I tried my best. I tried multiple ways of helping me to focus and get through it, but not a fan. So yeah, sad but true. And the idea is that I would listen to the audiobook when I was in bed, because I can just kind of like keep referencing the page or have my eyes closed and stuff while I'm listening, and also close my eyes and listen, so I'm actively focusing. So last night I did start another book on my TBR to read, just like when I wanted to sit down and read without audio, and that was Dawnshard by Brandon Sanderson. I'm 58 pages into that. I'm hoping I can finish it today, and that is the second novella in the Stormlight archive. It goes in between Oathbringer and Rhythm of War. Can't really tell you what it's about because spoilers with it being so far in the series, but as you guys have probably heard if you've been watching my vlogs etc for a little while, the Stormlight archive is an adult epic fantasy series that follows a group of legendary knights that have to rise up to fight the apocalypse. This novella in particular follows Ryzen and Lopen. Lopen is one of my favorite characters. He's hilarious. He's a member of Bridge 4, and Ryzen is intriguing. She's mainly been present in the interludes of the previous books. I wasn't looking forward to reading this too much because I don't love novellas, and I didn't love Edge Dancer, and I think that is because Edge Dancer follows Lift. Is she called Lift? And while I enjoy her as a character, I don't really love being in her perspective. It's a bit much. There's elements of Edge Dancer that I really enjoyed, but it's just a lot being in Liv's head all the time. But this one is much more enjoyable because it's actually intersecting with the main storyline and the main characters, so I can kind of place it in the story better and place it in the world better, just enjoy it a little bit more, because it's not like Edge Dancer where it was kind of removed because it was in a different part of the world where none of the main characters currently were. This one is a little bit more grounded in what I already know, so it's a little bit more enjoyable for me because I have more context and stuff. So yeah, I'm only 50 pages into that. I'm excited to see how that progresses, and hopefully I will finish it tonight, although I do have like my regular monthly Patreon live show this evening, and even though I'm sprinting now, I'm going to be editing stuff. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna go back to my editing now because I haven't started and it's 2:30 in the afternoon. I think I finished filming at like midday, and yeah, I want to kind of get this done so that I can squeeze in some reading today as well while I'm on sprints.
Can I tell you a secret? Might have to slide in close for you to hear it. Over that bartender yelling out them drinks. Will the cover band off key sings, yeah. Can I tell you a secret? Between you and me, all I can think about is leaving here early to get you alone. Pulling you into me, not even music on. Nothing but you, my tea, white sheets. Between you and me, between you and me, yeah. You know me like no one. It's like you get done up to get me undone, killing me in that dress all night. It's only 8 and I'm down to close down this place, yeah. But I'd rather close up this space. Between you and me, all I can think about is leaving here early to get you. Pulling you into me, not even music on. Nothing but you, my tea, white sheets. Between you and me, between you and me, yeah. Between you and me, between you and me.
Good evening, my loves. It is almost 11 p.m. and I'm just bobbing in kind of quick because I have just finished Dawnshard by Brandon Sanderson. I still have quite a bit that I need to get done this evening. I am going to bed. I'm going to be doing all this stuff in bed, but I just finished Dawnshard. I gave it 4 stars. I don't have too much to say about it because I can't say much about it in general because it's a novella and it's like the 3.5 installment, I guess. But in terms of like how I enjoyed it, didn't love it because it's a novella, but it still gets 4 stars because like the characters I like, because they're characters that I am at least vaguely familiar with, and I enjoyed the plot more in this one than I did in Edge Dancer, because while I like Lift, it's just a lot being in her perspective. I don't know, I just feel like it had more of a plot. It felt faster paced than Edge Dancer did, and this one is about 2 characters, which is Lopen and Ryzen, going on a voyage to investigate this island that's protected by a vicious storm and like nobody's ever been able to get to it. It was good, like the writing was good. I enjoyed the voyage and like the plot and the setting, and I like the characters. One of them, Lopen, like I really like, and Ryzen, I haven't seen much of her in the original series, but what I have seen I do like, so that was enjoyable. But it's a novella. I don't really like novellas all that much, but 4 stars because like the quality is good. I just, personal taste, you know, like I enjoy them. I do enjoy the extra tidbits it gives, and I do know like like how this is going to be relevant to the main series, because there is actually something that happens in here that I feel like is a big deal. So it's cool to kind of see the like relevant bits of information that are in the novellas that do apply to the main series. And that was on my Bookopoly TBR to read a fantasy. So one sec, I have one more book left on my February Bookopoly TBR, and I have 1 hour left of February, and that is Suicide Club by Rachel Heng. I'm not going to tell you anything about it aside from I'm about to go and get back in bed and start this one so that I don't have to take a Bookopoly punishment. But as I mentioned at the beginning of this vlog, I didn't want to read that in this week anyway. I wanted to have it so that I started it this week and it went into next week, and you guys will see why in a week's time when I post my next vlog, I guess. But yeah, I'm gonna go and get back in bed. I'm waiting for the washing machine to finish because I poured a glass of Pepsi all over myself. Not only did I pour it on myself, I poured it on my other Emposia blanket, like the pink one, which I've been using as a lap blanket when I'm on my computer because they're Sherpa lined, so they're like really cozy and they have like a weight to them. But yeah, it's the boobs, guys, it's the boobs. I went to sit down and just kind of like skimmed the edge of my glass with my boob and just like tipped the whole drink all over me. But speaking of Emposia blankets, this one, the black one, is the one that I designed. It's like black and gold with stars and stuff on it, and I do believe that these are actually back in stock now. I do have a code and a link in my description box. It is an affiliate link, so I do get a small percentage of the sales on that if you do choose to purchase through my link. But I do get tons of questions about where this blanket is from, if you guys can get them, and they've been out of stock for a little while, but I do think they're back now, so do check that out if you are interested. And I'm gonna go take my makeup off first of all and then get in bed and do a little bit more reading. This week feels like it's been exhausted. I mean, I have read quite a lot. I finished a book, read two, I say complete books, the 2 books that I read were 200 and something pages each. DNF'd a book and I'm about to start another one, and I've done like a whole ton of sprints and stuff this week, so I'm feeling quite tired now, and I'm actually excited to start the new week. Normally I have the Sunday scaries where I'm like, ugh, I gotta work tomorrow, but let's be real, like the work really just does not really ever stop for me. So I'm excited to start a new week. I do hope you guys have enjoyed this vlog if you made it this far. If you have, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.